Hello everybody. In this video I'm going to walk you through exactly how I use Zoom in my Hyflex classes. And so what you'll notice here is I have two monitors set up. The monitor on the left is my private monitor. The monitor on the right is my public monitor, which is what I'll be sharing during Zoom or in the classroom. I also have it projected so the students in the classroom can see what I'm writing on, and I'll go through and annotate and do all kinds of stuff like that. Okay, so I've got a public monitor and a private monitor. So here we go. When I start class, I'll click on Zoom, and I have the classes already set up in the calendar as recurring events. All the student has to do is select which section they are in and click the start button. And we should note at this point, this is also how students get to the prior recordings. They just go to the recordings button, and here are all the recordings from previous classes that students can access. Okay, so we'll go to upcoming meetings or at the beginning of class. I'm going to go ahead and click start for the 9:30, and Zoom is going to automatically launch. Here we go. And there's my video camera. I'm recording this one from my office. And so the next thing I do is I share my screen. So I click on screen sharing. I'll select screen number 2, which is again that public screen. And now that screen has the green box around it. Okay, at this point, what I do is I set up my private screen. So I go in and I open up the participants window so I can see exactly who is joining. I also set up the chat window, and I'll usually stack these one right on top of the other. I have a waiting room set up in Zoom. So as students enter the waiting room, I just admit them. Also, if students have questions, they can put them in the chat before class. Students can also directly message me, or we'll say privately message me, and I can privately message students, but they cannot private message each other. I have that turned off. So they are either making a public comment to the entire class, or they are private messaging just me. We also have focus mode turned on in Zoom. So if you go into the Zoom settings, you'll see that focus mode is turned on. What focus mode does is it only allows the students to see my video feed, and I'm the only one that can see their video feed. So all student-to-student video feeds are muted. They cannot see each other's video feed, and that is turned on by default. So when Zoom starts, that focus mode is already turned on. I usually sign into Zoom about 10 minutes before class starts, and so as students filter in, they'll be displayed in the participants window here, and I just admit them in as they go. I also keep that open the entire class period, so that way if someone comes in a little bit late, 5 minutes late, they'll pop up and I can admit them easily. That also prevents Zoom bombing. So I have to actually let someone into the class each and every time. If I don't recognize their name, they don't get into the class. And they probably shouldn't be getting in anyway, because you've got to get into Canvas to click on the link to get to the class in the first place. So anyway, this is what we do. And then we start class and I talk about stuff, blah, 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 blah. And I'm writing over here, all the while keeping an eye on the participants and the meeting chat. Another benefit of having the participant window open is that as students drop in, if I need to mute someone, if they accidentally unmute their microphone, I can mute them. I also have a host of other things I can do, and there's nobody in here right now, so it's hard to display that, but like I can turn off their video camera, I can rename them, I can kick them from the meeting. I've never had to do that, but if I needed to, I could do that all here. There's a lot of additional functionality by having that participants window open here. Kind of the same thing with chats. So we'll go back, and once we've got everyone in, I'll go back here, and there are things that we do live during class, like these in-class exercises. So here's an in-class exercise. And I'll talk a little bit about my presentation over here, and then I'll say, okay, in Canvas, now we've got an in-class exercise open, and I will publish this module, and we'll give students like 5 minutes to work on this in-class exercise. And then when we get towards the end of the class, I just say, thanks for joining, and I go down and I stop sharing my screen, and then I sign out of Zoom. That is an example of how I use Zoom with two monitors in order to conduct my in-class exercises.